is the worst candidate. You know where he is today? They have a thing called the lid. I don't even know. Do you know what lid stands for? Lid. He put out a lid today early in the morning. Lid means he's not going to be anywhere today. I'm working my ass off. I'm in Ohio. I'm in Texas. I'm in Florida. I'm in Michigan.
He wasn't exaggerating during the campaign. So who really is in charge right now? And what does Joe Biden do with all of his time? Our Emerald Robinson reports.
On the campaign trail, a candidate Biden was confronted about his lack of appearances. In fact, during the months of September and October of 2020, Biden caught a lid nearly 24 times. And now in the White House, President Biden continues to maintain a light public schedule. In fact, comparing last week's schedule for Biden and the equivalent week in his predecessor's Donald Trump's schedule is striking. For last week, outside of his daily briefings, Biden had only 5 public events on his schedule, as compared to the same week for Trump, in which on that Monday alone, he had 9 public events. Every other day that week was similarly busy.
By the time I woke up in the morning, I already had 30 plus emails of notifications of phone calls that he had been making, since 5 in the morning, sometimes earlier.
Former director of Oval Office operations at the White House and Trump secretary Madeleine Westerhout describes the challenge of managing the schedule for Trump, who was known to only sleep 4 hours a night or so. The author of Off the Record, My Dream Job at the White House, How I Lost It and What I Learned, painted a picture of a very busy yet very accessible commander-in-chief.
People were coming in and out of the office all day long. He really had an open door policy, which made my job very difficult.
But a recent Politico article portrays a very different atmosphere in the Biden White House, one where even high-level staffers are frustrated with the lack of access to the president. And according to CNN, President Biden starts taking calls just after 9 a.m. in the Oval in the morning and retires to the residence by 7 p.m. in the evening. The White House suggested Biden took it light last week to prepare for his first joint address before Congress. But again, look at the comparison of the day before schedules for both Biden and Trump. So the question is, what is President Biden doing? And if he's not doing it, who is?
President-elect Harris.
President Harris.
Ron, who am I turning this over to?
And Greg, I talked to a presidential historian who told me it could be many, many years before we actually know what President Biden was doing all this time.
All right, Emerald Robinson reporting for us. Emerald, thank you very, very much. We're joined now by Eric Trump, Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, and happens to be the son of Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States. Eric, welcome back. How are you?
It's great to be with you, Greg. And by the way, Greg, what people don't realize, after my father left at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, right, he'd still be making calls. I would get calls at 11:30 at night, at 12 o'clock at night. I would get calls at 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, my father never stopped. He never stopped. And by the way, that was universal. He was checking in on all the Republicans. He was dealing with various crises. I mean, he was unbelievable. He was always the Energizer Bunny, not just, when he was at the company, but when he was at the White House. And now I'm seeing this. I mean, my father would be going to get on Marine One. He would give a press conference, right? He'd go talk to reporters. He would land at Andrews Air Force Base to only give another small press conference, answer questions before he boarded Air Force One. He would land wherever he was going. My father was traveling all over the world. He was in Japan. He was in Poland. He was in Saudi Arabia. He was in North Korea. You probably remember that. No one could believe that. He walked across, the DMZ and into North Korea with, and he just never stopped. And then when he landed, he'd give another press conference. And you can go weeks without seeing this guy. They're not going down to the southern border. Neither he nor Kamala. They're not working. They're not, meeting with Gold Star families. They're not meeting with Border Patrol. They're not touring construction projects. I mean, these guys are virtually nowhere to be found. The contrast is baffling, to say the least.
So, Eric, maybe a lot of buyer's remorse out there, and maybe a few people, I actually know some of them, may have been fooled by commercials like this that tried to show Joe Biden as a man on the move, and believe it or not, some people bought it. Take a look at this. It's pretty wild.
Some people are always in a hurry. They run when they could walk. Race up steps when others take it slow. When Joe Biden's president, America is just going to have to keep up.
Race up steps when others take it slow. Oh, Joe.
The one thing that Joe Biden doesn't want to be doing, Greg, is The one thing Joe Biden does not want to be doing, Greg, is racing upstairs. All right, he's had a pretty rough track record on stairs. Again, your reporting was fantastic. I mean, just look at the schedules. Look at the schedules between the two candidates. I mean, my father did not stop. He did not stop. He did have that open, door policy that Madeleine was talking about. I mean, I knew Madeleine incredibly well. We know her incredibly well, but he would talk to everyone right? I mean, he wanted to be in the know, and he wanted to govern, and he wanted to talk to world leaders, and he wanted America to be respected. But look what's happening on the southern border. I mean, with the crisis that's happening on the southern border, the fact that the commander-in-chief nor the vice president has actually gotten down there to see the kind of catastrophe that they've created, I mean, that's a pretty simple trip. They haven't gone overseas. What are they doing? What are they doing other than pushing through the most left-wing agenda that's going to sink our economy, that's going to cost our kids trillions and trillions of dollars, that's going to hurt manufacturing, that's going to cause our businesses to go overseas? I mean, that's what they're focused on right now, and it's horribly sad for this country.
Eric, you and your father were not exaggerating one bit during the campaign. We have a moment where you called the work ethic into question. One moment here.
Biden's press secretary comes out Monday morning at 8:15 in the morning and said, the vice president has called a lid on it for today, and for tomorrow, and for Wednesday, and for all of Thursday until the debate. What kind of work ethic is this? What American can call a lid on it at 8:15 in the morning on a Monday morning?
It's so bizarre. And again, you guys were clearly not exaggerating at all. Eric, what's his work ethic like right now? I mean, or what is he working on? We see the statements. He deserves some time off. Tell us a little bit about his day.
Well, I mean, my whole life, Greg, I've seen it, right? I mean, when I was a kid, he'd call me at 6 o'clock in the morning. Honey, are you up? Good, you better be up. He'd call me at 11 o'clock at night to, again, test me. I mean, my father's just a guy who's never stopped. His entire life has been like that, whether it's in business, no matter what he sets his, mind to, The Apprentice, et cetera, the presidency, the way he campaigned. I mean, there's never been a person in political history that's campaigned as hard as my father has, and frankly, as hard as our family did. And, when you saw Biden, I was talking about, obviously, Biden not leaving his basement in Wilmington, Delaware right there, but you see these farmers. I'd go all over the country. You'd be with coal miners. You'd be with farmers. You'd be with, first responders, cops, just great Americans that own small businesses, et cetera, right? These people are up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they don't come back sometimes until midnight, from work. And sometimes they're working 2 and 3 jobs. And, you're the president of the United States. I mean, you should set an example. And the one thing that no one could ever say about my father, as crazy as the media was, right? There's no person in the media, as much hatred as there often was for my father, who wouldn't say that he was the hardest working president this country has ever had. And Greg, just a kind of funny little anecdote. I remember, so many different people from New York Times, et cetera, they'd be following him rally to rally to rally. These are 25-year-olds. They would be sleeping in a backpack, in the back of an auditorium after the 6th rally with 3 empty Red Bulls next to them, totally passed out. They couldn't keep up with him, yet, he's delivering hours and hours of speeches to different crowds where he has to keep such mojo, such energy going the entire time, such passion going. I mean, he would literally run these young kids who were following him around the press pool. He would run them into the ground. And, that's what this country needs. And, you look at around the world at the world leaders, do we think Putin has energy? Do we think, go down the list. I mean, these guys have, men and women have tremendous work ethic. And it's a shame that it doesn't seem like the commander-in-chief of the United States today does.
Energy is what this country needs, and maybe we'll get it again. Who knows? 2024, fingers crossed. Eric Trump, we appreciate it so much.
We will get it again.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Executive Vice
Greg, we will get it again. I promise. We will get it again.
All right, but you're living yourself, so will. All right, you know what I'm talking about, Eric.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm very excited. To be continued, sir, and we'll be right back.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.